so exciting to have Doug DeBerti on today, Steve. And we want to let you know just right from the beginning, we had so much great content to talk about. This is going to be in 2 episodes. So we're getting ready to start with our episode 1.
Just hard to keep it so simple as many years as we've known Doug and the family, and even more to come from the DeBertis. It's really going to be a lot of fun. You're going to enjoy.
Yeah, hope you enjoy. Lunch break. We are so glad you tuned in. We're so glad to have my friend Doug DeBerti all the way through electronic imagery and voice from North Carolina. A lot of you guys out there know Doug DeBerti. He's certainly a influence in my life. And Steve Anderson right here.
Yeah, thank you.
We don't call you Junior on this show, do we?
No, not a junior.
No, but I do know when you tell somebody there's a Steve Anderson, they look and they try to make a difference between your dad and you. They do.
You get that look.
You do. You do. And I quickly clear it up nowadays.
Yeah, I like that.
It is. So we got Doug here, and Doug is pretty famous in the world of automotive. And we're just glad that Doug would come in with us today. But I don't think of a more dear friend than Doug DeBerti. How about you, Steve?
Oh, absolutely. Doug, I've known Doug now 15 years, and he has got to be one of the dearest friends that I have. Truly miss him since he's moved away to Morrisville, but at least we have him here on our very first Zoom here on lunch break.
He moved away to the coast before that.
No, that's true. That's true. But at least it was close drive.
He took the party and left. Huh? We used to have
I know.
fun.
We've moved a few times. My wife, both times, moving from Bakersfield to Pismo. I'm not going. And then I got her on a plane, says we're going to North Carolina. She goes, I'm going, but I'm not moving.
What is it about our wives? They dig their heel in, and then they want to make you believe it was their idea, right?
Oh, my dad told me a long time ago, don't try to figure it out.
Yeah. You can't figure that one out.
That's good advice.
I can't. I don't even get it. I still, in my brain, remember her sitting on the plane going, yeah, I'm not moving there. I don't know why you're taking me. I will not move there.
I will say this, but before we said Doug and I and Steve, we could talk forever, but we're glad you joined in today. Like us, share us. My friend Doug DeBerti is an expert with social media, and his son Brad, and so we like us, share us. We really appreciate it. We're not too proud to say that. We're here at the lunch break, and if you want to get us any questions, you can see us on Facebook, The Real Lunch Break Show. Our producer, Mike Harvey, gave us that, The Real Lunch Break. You can also catch us on Instagram at The Real Lunch Break Show. So, Doug, one of the things I always find amusing about yours and Sandy's relationship is you have fun. I mean, you probably are the iconic couple that from the outside looking in, I wouldn't think there's any marital strife. Because it seems like there's so much that you dish out and she dishes out, and it just runs off each other's your backs.
Yeah, it's been that way, crazy enough, for 37 years.
37.
Yeah.
Congratulations.
Years.
Yeah. To Sandy.
37 years. And, she was 17, and so I'm now 55, which, gosh, I know Steve's going to say I'm old, but he's right there, like 1 year younger.
We have to clarify this. She was 17 when Doug met her.
Yeah, thank you.
But my wife said this the other day. We were at dinner, and she told the gal at the restaurant, she goes, we're having more fun now than we did when we met. And we do. We have a ton of fun. It's pretty much laughing. Most of the time, if she tries to argue, I just slap her and I put her down.
A lot of you.
And that's what my mind is thinking.
Not reality. Well, it was so funny, Doug. I know when you moved into your San Luis house, and you had that really ornate staircase that went from the bottom all the way to the top, and I think it was like one of the movie sets, wasn't it? That ornate staircase. And I think the next time we went back, and Sandy goes, you know what Doug did? One day I left, and he took a chainsaw and just he took it to what was it, 200 years old or something like that, Doug?
Yeah, the only time we really argue is I don't like nothing regular or stock. Yeah. And so I literally wait until she leaves somewhere, and then I do it. She left, or we went on vacation. I had the house painted, came back, huge fight. it lasted about, one day until everybody would come over and says, "Oh, I love the way your house is painted." And then it was, then it was good.
Oh, I love
And
that.
so, yeah, that's kind of what I have to do. And I hate doing that, but I just like fixing up everything.
You do. What you touch, you make better.
I think so.
Yeah.
And she does, and she fights it, but she's, we have fun. I've learned to figure her out and train her, and she's learned to figure me out and train me. And so we both know that.
Yeah. And you both accept that.
Oh, we have no choice.
Yeah.
I love it. Doug, tell us a little bit about your story. Just a lot of people know that the guy that wins SEMA, the guy that makes these crazy vehicles, they get turned into RC cars, and a lot of people don't know those early stories. The Doug that came from Montana and came to California and just carved out something exciting and new.
Yeah, well, I won't get too lengthy because I know we're limited on time. But quick story, in Montana, we grew up not real. Well, I didn't know we were poor. Had no clue. But my grandfather, he knew the guy at the dump, and so one of the funnest things for me to do is we'd go to the dump and we would get bikes and everything that people threw away, and then we'd bring it back and we'd fix the tires and paint the frames. And, that kind of went on and on and on, even with my dad. And then I just had to build and fix up stuff. And so moved to California, and I don't like what anybody else has. I like my own stuff. So I'm the only one that has it. So the only way you can do that is build it yourself. And basically, that's what I started doing. I saved up to buy a truck in 1990 because I came to California in a $200 '59 Chevy truck and had that for a long time. And once I got that new truck in my driveway, I started cutting the bumper and then building parts. And from that turned into building parts in my garage to a company that employed a lot of people in Bakersfield, several hundred actually. And we built that up to, I believe it was 6,400 part numbers that we made, and sold that company and just, kind of been doing the same thing ever since, working and building cars. We've always done the cars on the side. We've always done, I want to call them parts for vehicles that we did for an actual OE, like Ford and Chevrolet and even Toyota. And that's what we've been kind of doing for ever since I sold my company Trends, ever since. And then Brad, of course, he really got into cars, and Shane hated getting dirty and oily. And I think he might be the smarter one and jumped into real estate. And then I got sick of it, and Brad started getting into it. And then he started getting me back into it, which I don't even know why I'm doing it. I mean, I've been working more now than I was before, but that, in a nutshell, that's, in a short story, that's pretty much how it's done. It's definitely built from nothing.
I like what Brad's, I think it's his Instagram or something that says, "I build things you can't buy."
I like that. Yeah, I like that.
I like that. I think that's a mantra that fits that DeBerti brand, that DeBerti logo. If you say that, that imagery.
Oh, he gets so mad when people copy anything on his stuff before it even comes out.
Oh, gee, who does that sound like?
On there, and someone copied the wing on his truck and sent him pictures, and he gets so mad. And I go, Brad, you're in the spotlight, buddy. Yeah, that's part of it. You got to stop.
Yeah. What do they call it when somebody reproduces or copies what you do? That's actually a compliment.
Yeah, imitation is the simplest form of. Oh gosh.
Yes.
Yeah, I just lost it too. I'm
Yeah,
sorry.
You're out there. You
Thought I
can
had
listen.
it.
It's the sincerest form of flattery.
There you go.
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you, our producer, Mike Harvey. Yeah, I love that. So Doug, let me ask this question. So you won a show called SEMA. How many years ago, the first time?
Oh gosh, I don't even remember. I think we've actually got, I think, 12 best of shows there now. 2 of them
12.
are with Brad.
Has any
which
other
is pretty
father-son
exciting.
team ever done that?
I don't know. I've never asked that question.
I've wondered that, and I think I asked Brad that. I think I asked him at his wedding. I had that very question. So,
I don't know.
I love the story, and then I think it's fascinating because you and Sandy have been married 38 years, right? 38. 37, going on 38. Tell us how you met.
I worked at the Shell gas station on White Lane, pumping gas. And then I worked at Southwest Lanes, flipping, or actually it wasn't even flipping hamburgers. It was running hamburgers through a machine. And she worked at McDonald's. And I only had $700 when I moved here. So I got the 2 jobs there. And every time I went across the street, I kept seeing Sandy. It was like, man. And so I to this day, she tells the story. And I remember ordering a strawberry shake and her to go. Bam. That's exactly. That was my pickup line.
That was
so
it.
smooth. So smooth.
That was my pickup line.
When you got out there, was a phone number there or something?
No, I didn't get her phone number, but every time I drove through, she would hand us bags of hamburgers. I mean, I'd order one, and we'd open the bag, and there'd be like 20 and hot apple pies back when they were crunchy. And
Oh, I love it.
Yeah.
so anyway, I shouldn't even say she pretty much stole from McDonald's. My wife was a thief.
But she was flirting with you.
She probably paid out of pocket for it. She's so honest.
You know, Doug, that's all something I've always known about you is how hard you work. I mean, people don't realize that you get up early, and I can attest to that, and then you stay up late. I mean, you just do, and you work hard. And so having 2 jobs, was that something that was normal to you? I mean, did that work ethic that Doug DeBerti put on himself, or did you learn it someplace?
Well, we had to work pretty hard for what we had. Again, I didn't know we were broke, but where we were, we had to go out every week and cut firewood and fill up trailers and bring it back and split it. And, we had a gas stove in the center of our house. And again, I didn't know anything different. But when I left Montana, I thought I will never, ever heat my house with wood again. I don't care what I got to do. And so I think, once I figured out that you could have anything you want, you just got to earn it. You got to go get it. You got to figure it out. And so success came from, I just kept thinking and thinking and thinking. I even started building, water beds, and I'd put them outside back when water beds were a big thing. And my water beds were full on custom. They had 9 mirrors in the ceiling, and so I'd put these huge things out in my driveway, and people would come buy them. And then I started building rocking horses for kids, and using mops on their heads for the horse hair, and I don't know, maybe the woodworking didn't work out. And then I started, making stuff for the trucks, and the trucks, obviously, it was open. I figured out, this is open to everybody in the United States or the world. So what can I make for one truck that fits them all? And so I figured out early on how to, just build stuff. And grills is where it started. I went to buy a chrome grill for my truck from a company called Stahl, and they wouldn't sell it to me because Bakersfield Van was the dealer in town. So I came back and I started making them out of aluminum. And about 5 years later, Bakersfield Van was buying my stuff.
You have always been competitive ever since I've known you.
Oh yeah, I didn't get too mad, but it was more fun when he had to buy my stuff.
Yeah, I like that. I even like it one time when you had told me the story about you and Chuck Haddad, how the invoice, and Chuck has gone to be with Jesus now. So you mind sharing that one?
You really want me to share that?
Well, you could. I mean, I think it's neat because you said Chuck actually taught you something.
Well, we did a real quick, again, I don't want to get into this too long. We did a lot of stuff for the SEMA show and different OEs. And I needed a Dakota truck for a booth at the SEMA show. So I went to the Haddads and I said, look, I need a Jeep and I need a Dakota truck. All you have to do is pay for labor on the truck, and I'm going to get you like 15-20 grand worth of accessories for free. Rims, tires. I mean, I had a list. It was a win-win. And so we picked the truck up, we fixed it up, we brought it to SEMA show. When I came back, I brought an invoice, and I got a call back later, says, hey, Chuck wants to talk to you. And so I got there, I went down there, and he goes, well, I'm going to teach you your very first lesson.
That sounds like Chuck, too. That sounds like Chuck. I've had many of those conversations with him.
So Chuck said, without a PO, you don't get paid. And I says, okay, where do I get a PO? He goes, no. No, you're not hearing me. Without a PO, you don't get paid. And I said, so you're going to take this truck and you're not going to pay me the labor that I have on the sheet? And he goes, that's correct. That's going to be your first lesson on how dealers work. And I left there. And, the ugliness in me was like, I'm going to go get zip strip and I'm going to put it in a thing and I'm going to spray every car in its lot. I mean, it made me so angry. And keep in mind, I'm a young guy, right? But every dollar was a dollar for me. And so that next day, a salesman called me and says, hey, the Dakota here has 33-inch tires. What would you charge to put 31s on it? They don't want them that big, or 32s. I don't remember the exact. And I said, absolutely nothing. Get that truck down here. And so he brought the truck back. I shut my gate and I stripped it. And I'm talking stripped it. I didn't even have the rims and tires off it because we sold them. And I put old rims in. It's a brand new truck and it's a sold unit. And so the salesman came and picked it up the next day. He kept calling me, and I go, sorry, something happened with the tire. I'll have it ready in the morning. He comes and picks it up, and imagine what this guy's face looked like. And he was flipping, and I go, hey, sorry, sir, I don't know what you're talking about. He goes, where's all the parts? And I'm like, what parts? He goes, all the parts are on the truck. And I go, do you have an invoice for that?
You have a PO?
What you're talking about. What parts are you talking about? And so I says, I want you to go back to Mr. Haddad and ask him what parts he had on the truck that he paid for, because I have no idea what you're talking about. And so that was my first lesson in pretty much business, that from that point on, unless they had a signed invoice, I don't care who it was, to this day, unless your signature's on it, I ain't touching it. So yeah, he taught me a lesson, but guess what?
I know.
The kid taught him a lesson.
Well, Chuck and I have talked about that, so has John and I. So.
That's so funny.
I love the story, Doug, because it's just your personality. Yes, it is. I mean, that's what always admired me about you, is just you were always willing to work hard. You were.
Well, but he's also, that story illustrates it perfectly. He's also a bit of a prankster.
And he's willing to learn, too.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. It reminds me of a story when Doug and I first met. Our kids were going to school together at Rio Bravo Greeley, and the kids were hanging out together. I think my son was cheating off of Brad's work in class. And
whatever. To this day, your kid has helped my kid in school by giving him all the answers.
Well, let's just face it, rising tide raises all ships. But I'd always heard that Doug was a bit of a wild card, a bit of a prankster, and I didn't know him directly. It was a mutual friend of ours that did, and we were out goofing off one night on one of our UTVs, the side-by-sides, 4-door, and we decided to attach a chain to an outhouse.
Drag an outhouse and put it in my yard.
So hang on, Mike, on that picture just yet. But so I didn't know the guy, and I actually was the getaway driver. I'm like, look, I don't know this guy. I don't want him coming out and yelling, oh, no, Doug will think it's the funniest thing. This is going to be amazing. So it's a foggy night like it is, around here right now. And we quietly drag that thing up and set it in his driveway. And we drive off, and everybody's just laughing. Oh, it's going to be amazing. Well, Doug, thank God he didn't think it was me, but he knew who did it. So, Mike, if you have that picture to put up. So then the next morning, Doug, he decides to relocate the outhouse down to my neighbor's house, which was the actual planner in doing this. And in doing so, what Doug did is he ripped out the guy's mailbox, set the outhouse where the mailbox went, and then if you can see here in the picture, the mailbox is shoved into the porta potty, and then he zip tied the door open. So we're on our way to church as a family on Sunday morning, and I'm driving by, and I see this outhouse. So naturally, I got to step and get out and take a picture. Well, when I do, another neighbor, Pat Howes, that owns Baymar here in town, stops. He thinks I'm the one that did it, right? And I got all the kids in the car, and I'm taking these pictures, and I'm laughing. And Pat goes, "Mr. Anderson, you're setting a terrible example for your kids." And I'm like, "But wait, I'm just driving by taking a picture."
My friend did that.
But that was my first lesson that I learned from Doug, and that was never play a joke on Doug that you can't afford the repercussions, because he had a reputation for paying you back tenfold. Yeah. That was a great example.
Actually, Steve, I don't remember if you knew what I told you. I didn't know that you drug it and put it in my yard. And so after I met you, I said, "Steve, I just want you to know that you're really lucky I don't paint all the trim on your house pink."
That's right. We were remodeling the house. We weren't living there. Tell everybody where you were trying to put that outhouse originally.
Well, originally, me and Brad grabbed that thing. It was about 5:30 in the morning. And we were going to the house to put that on top of the peak of his roof. So we grabbed the nail guns, saws, and we were going to make a little stand for it to stick it up there. So he had to leave it up there at least for a day or two, that he wouldn't be able to get it down. But when we got there, there was a bunch of stuff in the driveway, and we couldn't get the forklift in there to get to it. But otherwise, that outhouse would have been sitting on top of the peak of his roof.
Oh, my gosh. That would have been hilarious.
It was your first outhouse improvement, right? It was like,
Yeah,
I like that stuff.
Yeah.
I like that. Hey, Doug, this is something we usually ask on this show. Is there anything that people don't know about you? I mean, we've had a lot of people. We had Mike Maggard, Michael, and he come on and just said, "Hey, I'm colorblind." And just anything that, I played the violin. I don't know if you ever knew that, but I played the violin. And
you played the violin?
I did. And now you're
Did you stop playing once you started breaking the neck off it?
No, when it wasn't cool in high school, I quit playing the violin, but I still own that violin. But I did. So a lot of people didn't know about me. How about you? Anything that people would be like, "Wow, I didn't know about Doug DeBerti"?
Oh gosh, I don't know. I think I'm just a hyper.
Yeah, you are that.
Pretty energetic person, and I hate being around drama. It's never been, I don't care who it is. I can't stand someone that I meet that's talking smack about someone that I don't even know. I think my biggest thing that people don't know is, if there's any drama and you're over or hanging out with any of us, you're never invited back. I would never tell anybody that, but I guess, I don't even know if that's the right thing to say, but I guess that's probably my biggest kind of pet peeve, is we just like to laugh and have fun.
Well, I can add to that, Doug. So you may not want me to say this, but I do know that you know how. Let me say it politely. You have a poker face, but the one thing that I know about you and my wife, that you guys conspire. And I remember on my 50th birthday, you and my wife conspired, and boy, oh boy, could you tell the best mistruth. Is that a good way of saying you didn't tell the truth?
That's the nicest way to say it.
I don't know what you're talking about, Mr. Touchstone.
I remember, and the only way that, Steve, I've only been got once in my life, only once, and Doug DeBerti and my wife got me to the point I was speechless.
Wow.
It was my 50th birthday, and Doug invited us over, and I had no idea these two were coming up and concocting a surprise party. I mean, yeah, I told them both that they probably had to repent to God that they lied so well. But but before I was supposed to come, I just, I was like, church is tomorrow. So I called Doug and I go, "Hey man, you mind if we skip tonight?" Remember when I told you that?
Mm-hmm.
Doug didn't skip a beat. He goes, "That's fine. Every time we invite you over for barbecue, you turn me down, so this is nothing new."
Oh, he guilted you.
Oh, he did. Oh. But it was so smooth. It wasn't even like I threw him off. And I go, "Okay." And I go, "Hey, I just can't make it." And he goes, "Okay, that's fine. If you want to do that, that's fine." So we hung up. And I sat there, and Tiffany goes, "What did he say?" I go, "He says fine." And I go, "But he kind of guilted me." He said, "I always do this." And she goes, "You do." So I called Doug back, and I go, "Okay, we'll come over for the barbecue." Remember that, Doug?
Oh, yeah.
And when we came over, we went to the house, and Doug was so smooth. He said, "Well, let's go on out to the shop. We're cooking burgers. I mean, the barbecue." I went out there, and there was probably 40 or 50 people. And I'm telling you, I've never been got because I was speechless. I was speechless the whole night. It did something to my head because it tripped me out. I mean, I was like, he was so smooth at this, and he played it off like no biggie.
He's very good at that.
I don't have 40 people here with your wife and that kind of stuff. and I looked at him and my wife. I go, man, you guys are good. So
You had fun too, didn't you?
I've never had that much fun, except on my
Gosh,
wedding.
remember how much beer you drank?
Oh, there had to be a side action here
Oh
someplace.
gosh, that's payback right there, isn't it?
Anybody that knows Tom, would he just look out of place with a drink in front of him?
Yeah.
Nobody would even know what to say.
But there again, there again, I know Doug is an amazing man and a friend. So
He's been a very good friend of mine. In fact, Doug pointed out earlier that he is several years older than me. I'm 53, you're 55, so that's more than one. But, what's been great about knowing Doug all these years is him and Sandy are great parents. And because their kids are a couple of years older than 1 year older than ours, I always use Doug as a model. He would tell me a story about something that came up or something that may have happened. And something as goofy as, hey, if the sun is out, there's no video games. Go out and play, go out and work on something, go tear your bike apart, go fix the tractor, go build a dirt bike track, but don't be sitting in here playing video games, And I learned a lot of those things with our kids. And I mean, he was just super helpful and just raising good kids with a good moral compass. I mean, he's got two great kids. Shane was just over the other day, had an absolute blast hanging out with him and his two kids and Lane's mullet. I'm sure I said, I think your pops had one of those back in the day.
Inspired by Grandpa.
Yeah, there you go.
He did too.
What do they call you, Doug? What do the grandkids call you?
They call me Pops because Grandpa just doesn't sound right.
It doesn't. You're too young for that one, Doug.
No.
Yeah, it just don't, because I got more energy than Brad and pretty much his wife and my wife and Shane. So if I'm in a rocker, you can call me Grandpa. But right now, it ain't happening.
Up early and in bed late. I got to hand it to you. The times I've stayed over at their house, you'll hear that roll-up door go up about 4:35 in the morning. He's gone, and then comes back around 7:30 or 8 when we're all just waking up and getting around, and he's already, half his day's already done with stuff.
I remember. Hey, I ended up. Doug, did we ever figure out how long? Was that 8 years or 9 years we trained together?
Well, see, Brad, if you remember, when we started, he could barely lift those little 2-pound pink weights. Remember those?
Doug, it's so funny because I think you and I trained together for about 4 or 5 months before the boys came out. And I remember the boys came out, and Shane was pretty put together, and Brad came out. And the one thing that I always knew about Brad is that boy is strong, but he don't look strong. It's like, where does it come from?
He does not.
But I remember that first time when he came in, and he went over, and your wife Sandy had those little green and yellow and pink and blue weights. He picked up the pink ones and laid down to do some chest press.
Oh my God! And shook. Remember his arms were shaking.
Oh my gosh!
It was shaking, and I remember as it was so much fun working out with the boys, and Doug. It was just incredible moments. And then I used to always tell Doug, don't try to keep up with these boys. Even though Brad started out with the purple weights, he would get someplace. I remember getting a call from Doug when he was still in San Luis, and we were talking. He goes, I got to have shoulder surgery. And I go, why'd that happen? He goes, because Shane challenged me to a dumbbell.
I still won. I
did.
won.
He did.
Did you, though?
Yeah, he did.
Did you?
I won.
Even Shane said he did it. He pushed it up, but he goes, I knew he got hurt.
Oh, man.
Hey, you know what's neat about that story, Tom, is here we got two boys. Brad was probably 8, and Shane was probably 11, maybe.
Yeah.
And Monday, Tuesday, Thursday, Friday, every single week for 8 or 9 years? Actually, it was 8 or 9 years. Those boys were out of bed at 5:15,
5:30,
working out.
Yep. I there again, Tiffany goes, man, I was. That's why I knew Doug was committed.
Yeah,
I
it's
don't think.
discipline.
I told you I don't think I've ever been worth somebody more committed than you, because we did. We worked out. We had fun. You would, I mean, I would exhaust my workout experience, and I even got Doug to do hundreds, and he loved hundreds. He loved hundreds.
Oh, no. You got me to do those, and then you made us get them stupid boots because it was to build your inner core.
Well, what it was when we started deadlifting and cleaning and squatting, and I go, you got to have good, you have good support. So I said, there's nothing better than just work boots for that. So we'd put them on, and Doug hated those boots.
Oh gosh, that and those hundreds.
Yeah,
that was painful.
Yeah.
I wish we had pictures of that.
Yeah, I don't think we took many pictures back then with that kind of stuff.
No,
but it was fun. I mean, honestly, we went through cold and hot in the gym and just had a lot of blast, a lot of fun, a lot of laughing.
Good times, right? Good times.
Amazing times.
Yeah, no, it was definitely, and we didn't make the boys get up.
No,
they wanted to do that.
And those boys got strong and big. Shane, and you did too. No, that's a lot of people don't know about Doug DeBerti. He's strong as a horse.
I'll bet.
There again, I mean, remember we had to keep buying dumbbells.
Yeah,
we
got up to what 100 and even Brad and Shane were bench pressing when they're 15, 16, those 100-pound dumbbells, 100 pounds in each arm.
Yep.
The correct way.
Every time we'd graduate, Doug would buy another set.
Wow!
And I'm like, oh my gosh, we're never going to end, because he would. I think his set went to 85, and you have the set. So what do they go to? 110 now or 100?
I think it's 100. And the reason why I don't know, and this is what I was going to chime in with, is I bought the stuff from Doug when he moved away 10 years ago, and that entire bottom rack has about this much dust on it because I can't get down that low. I think it's about 75 to 110. So it takes a floor jack just to move some of those. I don't know how you guys pull that off.
Yeah, but hold on. You know what Tom would do, though? I don't care how strong any of us got. It didn't matter. He would always stay 5 or 10 pounds ahead. I don't care what we were doing, curls, benches, it didn't matter. And he could have lifted a lot more, but he always kept a little carrot out there.
Oh, I see.
It would make me so mad.
It was never that way. It was like, I'm like, oh my gosh, these guys are pushing me. Doug DeBerti is pushing me, and I'm like, I got to stay ahead, but if I go too far ahead, he'll catch up like this.
Wow.
And then we'll have to go farther, because Doug DeBerti's not afraid of anything. And exercising and squatting and deading and cleaning, and none of it fazed him. So I figured I got to stay close, because if I go too far ahead, he's going to jump up there and we're going to be hurt. We're going to be hurt. Well, I always tell him that. I go, we're going to get hurt.
Yeah. Well, it just happens. And I remember how committed he was, because I remember we'd go over for dinner and it was just, they were consuming pounds of protein. I just remember that.
No, it was fun. Good stuff.
Thank you for joining us. We just wrapped up episode 1 with Doug DeBerti. It was a wonderful show, wasn't it?
So much fun, Steve. So much fun doing it with you.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you, Pastor Tom. With Doug, that could have been 4 episodes. We could still be talking right now. So just some wonderful stories, a wonderful guy, and a great family.
Yeah, so join in next week for the second part of this.